Westminster is in a tight atmosphere. The phones are still ringing, and ministers are tense and hiding behind the doors of Number 10 across the Atlantic. Procedure has been subtly replaced by panic. As President Donald Trump gets about to release a comprehensive set of trade policies, the clock is ticking, and this statement from Washington might upend the foundations of the British economy. Let's get started, but first hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for additional information. Downing Street is in disarray, and the Prime Minister is speculating quickly about what is being provided behind closed doors and whether it will be sufficient to stop the tidal wave that is already approaching Britain. In a stunning change of events, the UK makes last-minute concessions as Trump's trade war approaches, rattling farmers' ire and sending them scrambling for a lifeline. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has hurriedly put together a set of economic concessions in an attempt to protect the United Kingdom from an impending international trade war that might break out in a matter of hours. President Donald Trump is scheduled to announce his so-called Liberation Day tariffs later tonight, which, if carried out as predicted, will affect every major economy and put the UK squarely in the crosshairs in Westminster. Analysts warn that this could be the most significant economic upheaval since the early 2000s. Diplomacy has subtly given way to panic. The UK has already acknowledged that dreams for a comprehensive transatlantic trade agreement are off the table, therefore the Prime Minister is now changing tactics and gaining financial ground in an effort to prevent the worst of the fallout from the most prominent concessions, with indications that Britain may reduce or even eliminate its digital services tax, a levy that has long been a source of resentment for Silicon Valley and, consequently, for Trump in Washington. Downing Street has put future technologies on the table. While this may be an alluring offer for Starmer, it's a gam with national digital sovereignty at stake, but it goes beyond that. In yet another highly contentious step, Number 10 has also alluded to a desire to lower current UK tariffs on American meat exports, including chicken and cattle. This has caused the British agriculture industry to react immediately. Speaking bluntly to The Telegraph, Tom Bradshaw, president of the National Farmers Union, warned that any one-sided agreement would encounter opposition. He stated that if we give up access to our market, it must be reciprocal. If it is a one-way agreement, he said, the industry will have an issue, and the farmers are already incensed. Growing demonstrations in rural regions have been sparked by Rachel Reeves's recent tax hike on inheritance wealth, which is perceived as a blow to farming families nationwide and has put agriculture on the political firebomb waiting to explode: trade diplomacy. These last-minute concessions could tip the scales in favor of short-term economic relief, but will it work at the White House? The mood is relentless. This would not be the first time that agriculture has derailed trade talks between London and Washington during Trump's first term. Boris Johnson's own negotiations broke down on the same issue. According to Press Secretary Carol Levitt, Trump is highly intent on righting the wrongs of the past and isn't looking to perpetuate the status quo. He is always willing to take a call and engage in productive negotiations. In a world full of closed doors, America has been an open economy for far too long. The Trump administration views the country's enormous trade deficit as evidence of exploitation, and they believe those days are over since other countries are already bending. Israel has declared that it will no longer impose taxes on us. Just yesterday, Finance Minister Zoe Smotrich signed a decree requiring imports to comply with Trump's demands. The message is very clear: follow the rules or suffer the repercussions. Trump is anticipated to formally unveil the details tonight at a Make America Wealthy Again event in the White House Rose Garden. Originally planned for 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the announcement was postponed by 1 hour to occur exactly after the Wall Street closing bell, highlighting its anticipated impact on the market, and the markets are in fact already responding. On Wednesday, global equities fell precipitously. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 both fell by 0.2%. While gold, the traditional safe haven, held close to record highs, the Dow Jones dropped 55 points. For good reason. Investors throughout the world are nervous, and the ambiguity is what makes this moment so unstable. The White House confirmed in a statement that the tariffs will take effect right away. Although specifics are still unclear, preliminary sources indicate that tariffs on the majority of imports could approach 20%. Wall Street is tense. Following a dismal delivery report, Tesla's stock fell 3%, further depressing markets, and the overall fears surrounding this particular time have contributed significantly to the S&P 500's decline in 5 of the last 6 weeks. According to the Washington Post, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tried to allay fears by implying that the declared tariffs would serve as a ceiling that the highest-level nations would encounter with flexibility for discussion, but few are comforted. There are still a number of tariff alternatives available. According to one source, business leaders are losing faith in countries who don't comply on the ground, and even more severe duties could be reserved. Toon, the chief economist for Apollo SLO, observed that confidence among CEOs and CFOs has fallen to levels not seen in more than 10 years, and that actual economic data are also warning red flags. A brief upswing came to an end in March as manufacturing contracted. Due to the expectation of import duties, producer-level inflation has surged to its highest level in almost 3 years. As businesses become more cautious about hiring due to economic uncertainties across the Atlantic, job vacancies declined by about 200,000. Europe is also feeling the tremors, as evidenced by the 1.1% down in the Stoxx 600, with pharmaceutical stocks leading the decline. These days, traders are jumping into short-term hedges to protect themselves against erratic price fluctuations. Capitals of Da Chris Shakuna provided the greatest summary. I highly doubt that the framework that will be in place in 9 months will be whatever is announced today. The world is watching as the first shot is set to be fired, but talks are unavoidable. Britain is in a difficult situation where it must balance political pressure with economic weakness. Although Starmer is making every effort to prevent the worst by providing compromises, the truth is obvious. Trump's day of liberation might signal the beginning of a contentious new phase in UK's relations. In other news, the Prime Minister may have amused himself for a few more hours, but he has no control over what happens next. Dame Prabha Patel, the shadow foreign minister, has brought up an urgent question in the Commons over the government's intentions to give Mauritius the Chos Islands. The intervention follows Downing Street's confirmation that a deal is being finalized after receiving U.S. President Donald Trump's support. Patel expressed frustration at having to haul ministers back to the House to explain themselves just a day after oral questions. She criticized the government for briefing about the agreement to give away the Chagos Islands without mentioning it in Parliament despite ministers being interrogated on this botched deal the previous day. The deal will see the UK relinquish sovereignty over the British Indian Ocean Territory while paying to lease back the strategically important Diego Garcia military base, which is currently used by the United States. The shadow foreign secretary said how many billions of hard-pressed taxpayers' British money will be expected to fork out to lease back the territory. We already own this, just as vulnerable pensioners are having their winter fuel payments ripped away and family farms and businesses are being punished with new taxes is because of this Labour government. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments.